Ready or Not is a 2019 dark comedy co-directed by Matt Binatelli-Olfen and Tyler Gillette, and it stars Samara Weaving as a woman who must play a deadly game of hide and seek. So, the duo that co-directed this film have worked on horror films in the past, most notably the 2014 film Devil's Due, as well as the cult-followed, as of now, film VHS, and I know both of those films have had some followings. Long story short, they have made this new dark comedy, and I specifically call it a dark comedy because it's not exactly a horror film, but it's not exactly like a comedy or a mystery film like Clue, though it resembles that film a lot, and I'm a big fan of that movie. It almost feels kind of like The Purge in some ways, but also has political satire that feels like Get Out. There's a lot at play here, so it's hard to exactly pinpoint where this film is reminiscent. But I overall had a fun time with Ready or Not, and if you like seeing over-the-top, not to be taken seriously, dark comedy films, you will enjoy this movie quite a bit, like I did. Of course, as I've mentioned, this movie is way over the top. There's lots of blood, splattering, and gore. It's not super gory, but there's a lot of blood, most notably. There's also quite a bit of killing, and it has a unique premise. If you've seen the trailers, you essentially know the plot of the movie. There is a girl named Grace who is married into this very wealthy family, and in order to be a part of the family, she must play a game with the other members. And it just so happens that the game she has to play is hide and seek, which obviously means she has to go hide. 100 seconds later, the family members disperse throughout this big mansion, and you have yourself kind of a cat and mouse chase game where she is almost going to die at many parts in the film, and it's interesting to say the least. Because the characters, some of them are more malicious than others, but none of them are murderers, really. They're just kind of wealthy people, but they will do what's necessary to keep their status and to keep their lives and the lives of their family. I don't want to give away specific plot points, but both Grace and the family have big wagers at stake, life and death situations, stuff like that. And there is a message in the film that it's pretty interesting that it was in this movie about family and about not just status of a family, but about trusting your family and how sometimes blindly trusting people that you're close to isn't always the best thing. I was shocked to see a message like that in a horror movie that's so over the top like this, but dark comedies typically can get that across, and they did a pretty good job of handling that material. So overall, I have to give kudos where kudos is due, and Ready or Not is not only a message-driven movie in many ways, but it also kept me entertained and on the edge of my seat throughout it. I was interested to see, how is this going to work out? How is this going to play off of something else? Again, not getting into specifics. It's not exactly a mystery because you know what's happening. There's not like a whodunit. It's more of a why done it. Why are these characters doing what they're doing? And by the end of the runtime, you kind of piece everything together, and then everything goes crazy. Not going to say what happens, but there's a pretty weird ending to this movie. I guess kind of like The Babysitter, in a sense. But I thought Samara did a great job with this role. I wish we could have gotten to know at least her and her husband's characters a little bit more before the events of the hide-and-seek game. But even with that, it's entertaining throughout. I had fun with it, and I would recommend for you to check it out. I'm not exactly sure of the rating, quite honestly, though I'm like 99% sure it's rated R. And the reason is, it's got a lot of swearing in it, which usually I'm cool with. You know me, I don't swear. But they drop the F-bomb so many times that it's basically meaningless. I feel like they could have had more quippy one-liners, a little bit more of well-written jokes in there, instead of just a bunch of profanity, but it is what it is. I still had a fun time, no doubt, but there are those little touches that I would have liked to have fixed. A little bit more in depth about some of the characters, so I felt for certain characters a little bit more, and they didn't just feel expendable at the expense of the plot. But Ready or Not was a pretty enjoyable time. Not exactly, again, a horror film, more of a dark comedy, but if you are a fan of horror, you probably will like this too. Overall, I'm going to give Ready or Not a 3.5 out of 5 skulls on the R.I.P. Reviews rating scale. In terms of like the no-name horror films of the year, like of course you've had your Scary Stories and your Us with recognizable directors and source material behind them and stuff like that. In terms of the ones without any of that, like Ma and Brightburn and Greta and now this, I would say this might be one of the better and more enjoyable ones. So that's a good thing. I'm going to get into some spoilers right now, so if you haven't seen the movie and plan on seeing it, you can end the video here and come back. Just going to talk about that ending that I said was a little crazy, but other than that, you've seen just about my entire review. Thank you for watching, and let's get to some crazy talk.
At midnight, you have to play a game.
Why?
It's just something we do when someone new joins the family.
A game. What game? Hide and seek? Are we really gonna play that?
Well, the rules are simple. You can hide anywhere. We then try to find you.
So there's no way for me to win, right?
And stay hidden till dawn.
No, thank you.
Good luck.
Quite literally, as you all know, the end of this film, which I kind of saw coming, was that everybody basically dies, except, of course, for the bride, who lives. The family made a deal with the devil to have all of these riches and to possess wealth and status and stuff like that, and if they did not sacrifice Grace, then they were all going to die, and I thought that nothing was going to happen, and if I was writing the movie, I would have left it like that to kind of have the characters feel remorse over what they did and believe a lie. But this movie was so over the top that I figured there was going to be some bloody goodness at the end, and there is. All the characters just start exploding because of this curse. It's really crazy. There's basically like the devil sitting in the chair with like fog and stuff. It was crazy, but no doubt it was enjoyable to watch and just zany like that. So I had a fun time watching Ready or Not. And like I said, it had like a good meat in there where you could take something away from it and it wasn't just a slaughter fest. Because ultimately I don't care for those, but because it had that backbone, I liked it a little bit more. If I could have nitpicked stuff, I think some of the character things could have been improved a little bit. The set pieces were overall pretty good, and I liked a lot of the camera movement, like how the camera followed certain characters. I wish it could have had a little bit of different lighting, because it got kind of dim during the hide-and-seek moments. Maybe a little bit of different ambient lighting to change the mood up a little bit. And some of the music choices felt a little off for the tone. But other than that, I had a fun time watching Ready or Not. Those are all real nitpick things, but this was an enjoyable film. If you are looking for a fun time, and if you're into horror and dark comedies, you will enjoy Ready or Not. What did you think about this movie? I want to hear from you. For all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer.